Jesse, what are we going to do bit by bit, guys like you and me, to fight back against this new religion, critical race theory, social justice, all of these guys? It is a religion. It is a religion. How are we going to, in the next, let's say 12 months, guys like you and me, but then also like 5 years as a nation, what is the plan? What is the Jesse Kelly plan to save America? That's what I want to know.
Balkanize. I do not believe the federal system can be saved. I think it's so unbelievably rotted and corrupt from the top down. And I'm just not just talking about elected officials. Elected officials are always scumbags. When you have the FBI, CIA, DOJ, EPA, military, when they're all going the same way, you're getting to a tipping point here where you can't unpack it. So when I say balkanize, what I'm not saying is surrender. I'm not saying that. When I say that to people, what I mean is move to an area where they share your values. If you can, I understand a lot of people have jobs and family situations where they can't do that. If you can, move to an area where they share your values, and then don't move there and just kind of hang out and have a couple beers on the weekends. Move there and be more purposeful fortifying that area from the communists than you were in your last area. Meaning move to a red area and run for school board. I don't know anything about school. Neither do the dirtball communists who are on your school board now. You go, run for school board, and don't just try to go there. I just want to take politics out of it. No, that's a loser's defensive mentality, and that's why we lost this country. You go run for school board, and you make sure they're teaching your values in the school. Kids are taught values by somebody. You're sending your child to somewhere to learn from an adult for 7-8 hours a day. They're going to learn values. Make sure they're your values. Go run for city council. Go run for state house. Ban these things from them. We're going to have to do things now because we've gotten to a system where we're so corrupt. We're going to have to do things now that make you uncomfortable. You know, if you don't want things to be uncomfortable, you better pull the plant out before the roots get too deep. Once the roots are deep enough, as they are now, there's going to be some dirt that comes with it when you pull it out. And that sucks. And it's going to be painful. And it's going to be a rough next 10, 20 years. But it is necessary. It's that or give up. So we are doing a tactical retreat where we are going to go fortify other parts of the place. And then from there, we could worry about taking back the rest of it. But if you are a person on the right now and you're stuck in some deep blue area and you don't move, well, you're actually hurting me by staying there because you're lost. You're behind enemy lines. You're going to get gobbled up and you're lost. And I could have used you on my wall, but now I don't have you on my wall because you stayed there because you wanted to. Oh, that's not true. We don't surrender. Tactical retreat is one of the most important things a general can do. George Washington gave you a country because he was the best tactical retreater in the history of mankind. Tactical retreat's really important. You have to do that now.
So when you say balkanize, you're not saying, hey, let's immediately break up the country and start having some Serb-Bosnian type conflict over here. What you're talking about is use your freedom of movement that we still have, move to a jurisdiction where there are people who reflect your values and hunker down with people that share your values. That's step one. What comes after that, the stress on the federal system, the disintegration, the increasing complexity of everything in life, the way that it seems like the friggin' thing is just shaking and all bolts and pieces are falling off of it. You just don't even know when it's just going to completely come apart, even though the speed seems to keep picking up. You got to start with finding people who share your values. Jesse, what are those values that people can, that you're looking for in other people that are common values that you would want to build a community around, that you want to attract other people to share those values? Because I got to tell you, in the Liminal Order, we are a values-based organization. It's an all-men's organization. We've got almost 600 guys all around the country, even all around the world. We've had meetings all over the country. We've had 30 different meetings, maybe. We just had a big national meetup last weekend. We had about 60 guys in a cornfield in Illinois. A lot of shooting, a lot of smoking, a lot of drinking, a lot of feats of strength and barbecuing and grilling. It was an amazing time. But we came together because of our values. Our 3 core values: masculinity, brotherhood, and sovereignty. These are the things that we hold dear. They're for us as men. These are the things that we think are going to improve our lives. They're going to improve the lives of our community and hopefully our nation. For you, sir, what are the values for you that are in your mind when you say, like, I want to build a community with people with like-minded values? What comes to mind first for you?
I want people who are polite. I want people who are family-oriented people, meaning you care about your children, you care about raising your children, you care about the safety of the neighborhood, and I want people who are anti-communists. I mean, I tell people this all the time now. I'm not just saying that. These people are communists. The people who have taken over our country are absolute bloodthirsty communists. They're no different than communists have always been. They are 100% totally fine if you die, if you oppose them. That's who they are. And unless you're willing to openly push back against them, then you're not going to be my people, because they're not going to give up. It is their religion, like you talked about earlier. It is not a political ideology. They eat, sleep, and breathe it. They will die for it. They will kill for it. And they have done so several times throughout history. And freedom cannot exist beside communism any more than a block of ice can exist beside a fire. It does not. One must go. And so they're either going to go or you're going to go. And I don't want to be around people who don't understand that. Because right now, the biggest problem I'm having is not the left. I know they're a bunch of dirty scumbag communists. My biggest problem is the right thinking this is some kind of, wow, it's just Democrats versus Republicans. Let's care about the midterms and maybe 2024. We have so many bigger problems as a culture than the midterm elections or the presidential elections. And if you, I mean, that's a good step. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but if you think that is going to solve something for what we're facing right now, you greatly underestimate just how big the problems are.
The problems are gigantic, and what we see, and interviewed Christopher Caldwell, who wrote a terrific book called The Age of Entitlement, where he lays out how what we really have are two competing constitutions in the United States. We have two competing regimes. We have two competing notions of liberty, and they're incompatible. There's no negotiating. There's no, well, we can compromise on this, we can compromise on that, because at fundamental first principle level, they're diametrically opposed. One is make space for people to be themselves, and the other is to take from everybody else to fill up this other guy over here. And these are contradictory, they're irreconcilable. And as we see now with the equity notion, right? This is the communist bit. Mm-hmm. It's the equity notion that has now made its way all the way to, from just crazy college kids all the way up the chain, with a little quick stop at the Kavanaugh hearings, all the way up the chain now to the joint session of Congress, the first address by President Biden, talking about equity, talking about white supremacy as a top terrorist threat and all this stuff. So it's really taken over everything. Now the question is going to be, like, to what extent are they going to be able to spread that throughout the rest of the system? And at what point are we all, the rest of us, going to acknowledge the fact that these things are irreconcilable? There's no negotiating. It's like Ricky Tikki Tavi. It's like there's a mongoose and a cobra in a sack, and only one of them is coming out. How do we make sure we're the ones that come out? That's the question. We're going to have to fight back. It's going to take more, Jesse. This is so beyond 1 year here. It's going to take more than just finding people with your common values. What is the 5 to 10 year outlook? What do you think is going to happen over the next 5 to 10 years? Make your prediction. Yeah.
I think this country is going to break up. Whether that happens in 5 to 10 years, I don't think so. That seems a little soon. I think 50 years from now, we'll be 2 or 3 different countries. And I think it is that drastic. And this is what I mean when I say that. I think we will have states breaking off and joining and breaking off together. We cannot coexist like this. We simply cannot. If we didn't have so many guns on the right, I would say we will flat out have people on the right thrown in gulags. That's how serious these people are. But the one thing they failed at is the one thing that should have been priority one for them, and that's disarming the other side. Since they didn't do that, they are not going to slow down on this stuff. I want people to understand this critical race theory and men can be women now and all this other stuff. This is not the end. There is no end to communism. There's no end to cultural Marxism. They only look at what they haven't destroyed yet. The communist never wakes up in the morning and says, "Whew, nice, we took over all this. You know what? I think I'm done for now." That doesn't even enter their mind. There's always something else and always something else and always something else. They will never stop. This is a beast that will not be sated. And so I believe that we will continue to see regardless of what I say, we're already seeing the balkanization of the country. We're seeing California lose congressional seats, New York losing congressional seats, Texas is gaining them, Florida is gaining them. People are already, even when they're intimidated to speak out publicly against it, they're already instinctively looking at this filth and saying to themselves, no, I don't want my kids raised there. I don't want my family raised there. And what that's going to do is, now I'm happy it's happening, but as far as the overall health of a nation, that's a bad thing. The country is going like this, and it's going like this quickly, and there's no indication they're ever going to stop or slow down because communists do not. And we can't either, so it's inevitable. We are going to break up. And I don't know why people think that's radical when I say that. Go look at a map at the history of the world, the year 0, then the year 500, then the year 1000, then look at the year 1500. Countries breaking up, rising and falling, starting and failing, is the history of the world. If you say we're not going to break up, I say on a long enough timeline, you're the naive one.